So in today's video, I just want to talk about a few things that you might want to consider as you're planning out your woodworking shop. So it's coming up right now. Okay, so of course, one of the most important things in your woodworking shop is electrical outlets. You want to have plenty of outlets, but you don't necessarily have to overdo it on circuits because you're only going to be using one tool at a time. So I went a little bit crazy and I put like 4 circuits in my little woodworking shop here, and I probably only needed 2 or 3. But go ahead and do however, whatever you think you need. But make sure you got outlets spaced pretty evenly along top of where your workbench is going to go. Also, you might want to consider adding a ceiling receptacle or 2 because you might want to add a ceiling mounted air filter in your woodworking shop. So the other reason for a ceiling outlet is I'm going to have a roll around router table that I want to be able to roll into the middle of the shop and plug it in, but I don't want to be tripping on the cord. So I'm going to hang a cord out of the ceiling that I can plug into. Also, I'm going to do that same thing for my table saw. My table saw is going to be out here in the center of the shop. But my table saw, I'm going to run on 240 volt. So consider what tools you have now, but also consider what tools you want to get or what tools you want to upgrade. A lot of bigger shop tools that are 2 or 3 horsepower, you might want to run on 240 volt. They might run on either, but if you run them on 240 volt, they'll draw less current. So if you double the voltage, you cut the current in half. That's how that works for that, so you can use a smaller sized wire. So I'm going to run my planer and my table saw both on 240 volt. So I'm going to show you the layout of my shop that I drew up, and I'll kind of show you the spacing that I use for my receptacles. And you may need more, you may need less, but it helps to kind of think through the flow of your work also as to where you're going to put your tools. You might have a certain flow that you want to consider for your workshop and kind of put your tools in that order. The other item is workbench space. How much workbench space are you going to need? So my shop is basically 32 by 16. So this whole wall is going to be workbench, radial arm saw right here in the center. So that gives me from the center of my blade all the way to either end of the wall, I have probably at least 15 feet. If the inside dimensions is a little bit less than 32. So I can set a board up there as long as my benches are clear. It'll have a clear run to use the radial arm saw. So another thing to consider too is your lighting. Especially in a woodworking shop, you want is nice bright lighting in your shop, but you want it evenly spaced out too. You don't want any dark spots. So I've got 8 lighting outlets in this ceiling, in this 16 by 32 ceiling. So by having 8 lighting outlets, I don't have to go with too high of a lumen output for my lights, but I wanted it spaced out evenly, so that's why I put so many in. So I can go with a lower lumen output and I can get a nice evenly spaced light throughout the whole shop. So I'm working with my local electrical wholesale house, and they can do lighting layouts that you pick a certain fixture and it'll give you the foot candles around the throw of that light off of that fixture. So we're going to do that for this space to make sure I pick the right size fixture. So I'll keep you updated on that. And also you can see I have these 3 can lights here, and those are for a spotlight that would be positionable. Because I'm going to be doing a lot of filming of YouTube videos in here, I want some lights that shine back over on my bench over there where I'll be doing a lot of that filming. So that's what those are for, not necessarily for task lighting, additional lighting for videos. Another item to consider is dust collection. So for me, I'm going to put a dust collector all the way down on that far side, and I'm going to run my ductwork under my bench all the way down. That way I can hit whatever tools I might have sitting on the bench. I'll have ports where I can close them off, and if I want to use a tool up there, I can open it up and hook it up. And then I'll have since my table saw will be out in the center, that one's going to be a little tricky to get the dust collection to. So I'll probably just have a port right next to the dust collector and just a flexible hose that I can run over and hook up to the table saw, and I'll just use it when I need it, and if it's in my way, I'll take it off. So I designed my shop to have this roll-up door in the back. So that's strictly just so I can open it up and enjoy the outside while I'm in my shop. So also over here on this far wall, I'm gonna have my 240 volt receptacle for my planer. So I can wheel the planer out on the lean-to and plane all the rough sawn wood out there. So that'll save on the mess in the shop, because that makes a lot of sawdust out there. That's my 240 volt outlet for my planer, and I've run that in conduit. And the reason why is that runs in conduit all the way back to the electrical panel over there. And that's if I ever did not need the 240 volt, I could pull 110 down there. Or in this box right here is where I want to put 110 cord hanging down for my portable router station. But if I ever had a 240 volt shaper, I could change that to a 240 volt receptacle. And all because it's in conduit, it's easy to pull that wire out, or pull the neutral out and add another hot leg to make 240 volts. This one is for going to be a receptacle in the ceiling in order to hook up a ceiling mounted air filter. And then it leads to this one, which will be my 240 volt outlet for my table saw. So that'll hang down. My table saw will be right here in the middle with the outfeed table on the back side. And you can see all of that in my drawing. So that's a few things to consider. The other thing is your wood storage. So back in this corner, I'm going to build a cart that swings out, I believe, so I can get access to some sheet goods. I can put 4x8 sheet goods standing up in that corner, and then smaller sheet goods out in front of it. So that's the plan for sheet goods. And then on this stud wall coming back here, I'm going to put some adjustable shelving, and that's all that wall is going to be for hardwoods and softwoods. Any of the dimensional lumber can go stack on that shelf there. And then with having my bench here on this wall, I'm going to have cabinets up above on a couple sides, and those are good also for storing especially like small pieces of pallet wood and stuff like that. They stack really nice up on top of those wall cabinets. So I'm going to use that for storage. And then over my door, that roll-up door there, I'm going to frame up in the rafters. I'm going to put some extra framing in so that I can drop down some supports to build a little platform above that door, because that's just wasted space up there. Once the door's open, I'll have that platform above it, and I'm able to store some wood up top of there too. So that's all my plans for my shop, and I'm going to be getting started on it real soon. So you can see I just had my drywall delivered today. So hopefully this weekend I will be renting a drywall lift and get some helpers over, and I'll get the ceiling done here in the wood shop. So if you want to watch the playlist of how I built my pole barn shop, I'll put that up in the card up here. And down here in this card will be another video that YouTube thinks you might want to watch. So I'll see you in the next one. It's a little bit cold, and my nose is cold. Your wood shop. Workshop. I just said it again. Wood shop. Woodworking shop. How about that?